Welcome to part 2 on tariffs. In part 1, we looked at what a tariff is and what tariffs were imposed in President Trump's first term. Now let's take a look at what the impact of those tariffs were, because that'll give us some indication of what we can expect coming up. From an economic perspective, you'll find lots of reports that say that the tariffs imposed by Trump and carried on by President Biden reduced the U.S. GDP, gross domestic product, by 0.2%, reduced the capital stock by 0.1%, and reduced employment by about 142,000 full-time equivalent jobs. In the sphere of manufacturing, capital stock refers to the total value of a business's physical assets, including land, buildings, equipment, and also intellectual property. So you'll find a lot of reports produced by the people in the United States, in Europe, in Asia, saying that there was a negative impact of those tariffs in Trump's first term, continuing through Biden's presidency because he kept the tariffs in place. You probably can find a couple of reports that paint a slightly rosier picture, but even those will say that it did not improve U.S. gross domestic product and it did not grow manufacturing jobs. At the time that the tariffs were imposed in Trump's first term, there were some very pro-Trump news outlets that reported that the impact of the tariffs was 3 times the effect on China's economy as it was on the United States economy, which seems to be true. But that doesn't change the fact that the overall effect on the U.S. economy was negative. Supporters also like to point out that the tariffs increased tax revenues for the United States, because remember, tariffs are taxes, by about $200 to $300 per U.S. household. But that doesn't outweigh the inflation that occurred as a result of those tariffs. Remember, that's a tax that importers have to pay, and then they raise the cost of their goods that they sell to U.S. consumers. So one example of that is washing machines. President Trump's tariffs increased the price of the average washing machine by $86 per unit and the cost of the average dryer by $92 per unit. And that's just one product. And because of retaliatory tariffs, you lived it, you experienced it, right? The cost of everything has gone up. Cars, groceries, clothing, you name it. And this time, President Trump's tariffs are targeting about 8 times the amount of goods as his tariffs did in his first term. So in the next video, let's take a look at what the 2025 tariff proposal is and what some alternatives would be to imposing those kinds of tariffs.